Have you ever poured tons of organic matter into your garden, expecting this amazing harvest, only to watch your plants kind of struggle? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dig into the science of why that happens, and we're going to uncover 4 golden rules of organic fertilization that will completely change how you feed your plants. All right, let's get right into it. You know, it's a super frustrating puzzle for so many gardeners and farmers. You think you're doing everything by the book, you're adding plenty of good organic stuff, but then your plants start dropping their flowers and their young fruit. You're trying to help, but the results are telling you something completely different. So what is going on here? Okay, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. This is the big one. It's a total shift in thinking. We have to stop seeing organic fertilizer as, a quick snack for the plant. Instead, we need to see it for what it really is, a long-term investment in the health of the soil itself. Once you get this, everything else just clicks into place. So what does it even mean to feed the soil? Well, it means you're not just feeding a plant for a season. You are building a rich, living, breathing ecosystem that's going to sustain your plants for their entire life. You're building a foundation, not just slapping on a temporary patch. This right here perfectly sums up how you should think about organic and chemical fertilizers. They're not enemies, they are partners with totally different jobs. Think of organic fertilizer like the builder of the house. It's creating good soil structure, helping it hold water, and feeding all that microbial life. Chemical fertilizer, on the other hand, is like a shot of espresso. It's that quick burst of energy plants need during those critical growth spurts to really pump out the yield. So the key isn't choosing one over the other, it's about using both of them intelligently. So, that brings us to our very first golden rule. If our main job is to feed the soil, then we have to serve it the right kind of food. And that means using fully decomposed, stable compost. And trust me, not just any old organic matter is going to cut it. Using raw, uncomposted stuff is honestly one of the biggest mistakes you can make. As it breaks down in the soil, it generates a massive amount of heat, which can literally cook and kill the delicate roots of your plants. Plus, it's often loaded with pathogens, bad bacteria, and a million weed seeds that you're basically just planting in your garden. Fully decomposed compost? That's the good stuff. It's stable, it's safe, and its nutrients are ready for the soil ecosystem to get to work. So here's the thing. Great compost doesn't just happen. It's a managed process. It really comes down to balancing 4 key elements: the organic materials you put in, the living organisms that do all the hard work, just the right amount of moisture, and enough air to keep all those good microbes happy and thriving. And the simplest way to get that balance is to mix your greens with your browns. Your greens are things rich in nitrogen, like kitchen scraps or fresh grass clippings. And your browns are things rich in carbon, like dry leaves, straw, or even cardboard. A good mix, usually a bit heavier on the browns, gives your composting microbes the perfect diet to create that beautiful, dark compost. Okay, so now we've got our top quality compost ready to go. How do we use it? Well, that brings us to rule 2, and this one is all about timing. Because organic matter releases its nutrients so slowly, when you apply it is just as critical as what you apply. The key technique here is called Basal Application. All that means is that you mix your organic fertilizer into the soil before you even plant anything. Think of it like you're front-loading the system. You're building a nutrient bank account in the soil that your plants can draw from for their entire life. And the reason this is so important is because the microbes in the soil need time. They have to break down that organic matter and turn its nutrients into a form that plants can actually use. And that process is slow and steady. So by applying it at the very beginning, you make sure that when your plant really needs those nutrients later on, that bank account is open and ready for business. This leads us right into our 3rd rule. We've fed the soil with great compost, we've done it at the right time, now we have to protect the tiny, microscopic workforce that actually makes all of this happen. You have to remember, your soil is alive. The real magic here is done by billions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms. They're the ones digesting the compost and feeding your plants. But this little workforce is fragile. Direct sunlight, the UV rays can sterilize the top layer of your soil and kill them off. And they can't work if it's bone dry. So the technique is simple, but it is absolutely non-negotiable. Whenever you apply organic fertilizer, you have to immediately cover it with a layer of soil or mulch to protect it. And hey, you can even give your soil's workforce a little boost. Adding beneficial microbial products, like ones containing trichoderma or bacillus, can help speed up that decomposition, protect roots from diseases, and just make your organic fertilizer work even better. Okay, so this slow-release foundation sounds great, right? But it brings up a really important question. What happens when a plant is flowering or trying to grow fruit and it needs a huge amount of energy, like right now? That slow system might not be fast enough to keep up. And that is exactly where our fourth and final golden rule comes in: integration and balance. Look, the most effective way to grow is not about being a hardcore organic purist or relying only on chemicals. It's about using both tools for what they're good at. So let's bring this idea back. You use organic fertilizer to build your soil's health for the long haul. Then you use your inorganic NPK fertilizers strategically, like a targeted supplement during those peak demand times. Think flowering and fruit development, to make sure the plant never has to go hungry. So what does that balance actually look like? Well, a really good rule of thumb is to aim for about 30% of a plant's total food to come from that long-term organic foundation. The other 70% can then be provided by those targeted inorganic fertilizers. This combo gives you the best of both worlds: long-term soil health and a high-yield, productive harvest. All right, let's bring it all home and harvest the benefits of what we've learned. When you follow these 4 rules, you really move beyond just dumping stuff on the ground. You become an intelligent manager of a complex, living soil ecosystem. So here they are, your 4 golden rules to remember. Number 1, feed the soil and do it with fully finished compost. Number 2, apply it early as a basal foundation. Number 3, always protect your microbial allies by covering that fertilizer. And number 4, balance that slow-release diet with fast-acting supplements when your plants need them the most. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The end goal isn't about following a strict ideology. It's about getting great results. It's about building a resilient, fertile foundation that will support healthy crops for years, while also having the tools you need to maximize every single harvest. And this is where the real work starts, out in your own garden or on your farm. It's about taking these ideas and actually putting them into practice. Are you going to start a proper compost pile? Maybe change up your application timing? Just remember, thinking about how you feed your soil is the very first step toward a healthier and much more productive future. Thanks for digging in with me on this one.